As Christians, it's important for us to be wary of all the different types of content we see in the media. This includes movies, shows, YouTube videos, and even short-form content like TikToks and Instagram Reels. When we consume all these things, we have to be able to know the difference between what is good and true with what is bad and false. Failing to do this can make us more susceptible to the lies and manipulations of the devil, which can then cause us to sin, and we don't want that. So today, we're going through some things that you should look out for when you're consuming things on the internet. Let's get into the video. Before we go through the two big things to look out for when consuming content, I want to talk about something that I've noticed first. In my previous videos, where I'm analyzing and criticizing movies or shows, I've read a whole bunch of comments of people basically saying things like,
"It's just a movie."
And this is so concerning to me because people who say these kinds of things fail to realize that the media, so movies, shows, YouTube videos, all that stuff, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest and the main way the devil tries to push his lies and manipulate us into sin. And a very obvious, simple example that's so common is the idea of kissing and lust and making out in movies. It's pretty clear that if you put two and two together, we have a very popular culture around making out on like your first date and, in romantic relationships, because movies have pushed this idea so much that loving someone is just kissing them and making out with them. And so saying things like, "Oh, it's just a movie, you shouldn't look that deep into it, it's not that deep," that's a very dangerous way of thinking, because that's exactly the way the devil wants us to think, so that when we do consume these kinds of content and watch movies and shows and stuff, we're not really watching them with a discerning mind, and that makes us more susceptible to sin and falling into the devil's traps and tactics. The truth being manipulated is something that happens very often in the media. Usually how it works is the devil will try to present an idea that seems good on the surface, but when you look at it closer, you'll notice that he likes to twist or leave out key parts of what's actually true. It's basically like taking the truth and mixing it with the lies to make it feel or seem more believable and attractive. And the key word here is attractive. We as humans are naturally drawn to what's good, what's true, and what's beautiful. And the devil knows this. That's why he usually doesn't completely take out the truth, but rather he mixes it with the lies so that we could still be drawn to it and think it's good. But this is dangerous because it can lead us to agree with ideas, values, or actions that actually go against God without even realizing it. Let me give you some examples that are very common in movies and shows. The first one is revenge. What usually happens is the main character, once they have achieved their revenge and they've succeeded, that's when they'll finally have peace. And the movies or shows will usually portray them or depict them finding peace, and they're finally, happy and life's good. Realizing that revenge is wrong and choosing forgiveness in the end is what is actually true, and that is what truly brings peace. The idea here is we want peace and justice, which are two inherently good things. But the devil is trying to manipulate us by saying you can get peace and justice if you just take revenge. Another one which I've mentioned before is lust. Movies like to portray love as physical intimacy, like kissing or making out. But the truth is that that's not love being shown here, it's lust. This is something that the devil has manipulated a lot of people to think, that loving someone is just making out with them. Now, a very common one that I see a lot is the saying, "Do what makes you happy." Now, of course, happiness is a good thing and we as humans want to be happy. But the devil is trying to push this idea that if you want to be happy, you should just go and do the things that you want and just follow your heart. But the problem with this is that a lot of times this includes following our fleshly desires and partaking in worldly pleasures. However, the truth is that we find true happiness with God, not by seeking pleasure. We're exposed to so much sin in our lives, especially online, and this frequent exposure to sin can kind of desensitize our conscience. And so we have to be careful that we don't get so used to seeing worldly values being glorified that even we fall into them. I see a lot of this happening in social media content such as YouTube videos, and it has honestly shaped the way so many people think. So I'm gonna go through a bunch of common examples. Alright, I've got a whole list right here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to list a bunch of different common titles that you will see on YouTube. So let's go. How to make so much money your friends get jealous. How to get ahead of 99% of people in 2025. Watch this video if you don't want to be a failure. The lazy way to make passive income while you sleep. How to be so successful they'll regret ever doubting you. I mean, ew, that one's so cringy. So this category of titles, as you can probably guess, is just encouraging and essentially glorifying greed, success, envy, and getting rich and successful with money and stuff. So like, number one, how to make so much money your friends get jealous. Like, why? Like, what's the point of that? And number two, how to get ahead of 99% of people in 2025. And then a video like that will usually talk about starting a successful business and making a bunch of money and getting rich. And essentially, they're encouraging the idea that if you want to be better than people, you should be richer than them, which is just not true. And then the third one is watch this video if you don't want to be a failure. And usually these kinds of videos will talk about getting successful again with money. And so it's essentially pushing the fact that if you don't get rich, you're a failure. Like, Jesus wasn't financially rich. Was he a failure? No, I don't think so. Right now, he's in heaven sitting at the right hand of the Father. Doesn't sound like a failure to me. And basically what this does is it normalizes the idea that being successful is all about being rich and having a bunch of money. And so it makes people and encourages people to basically idolize money, and idolizing money is a sin. And then the fourth one is the lazy way to make passive income while you sleep. Firstly, laziness is a sin, alright? And then secondly, it's encouraging the idea that you should try, like, you can make money without much effort. You can make money by essentially being lazy, and here's the easy way to make money. And that's why I think we see a lot of people in this world essentially trying to get rich quick. They do so many things in their lives to try and get rich quick because they just want the easy way to make money. And then the last one, the fifth one here, which I think is absolutely so cringy. How to be so successful they'll regret ever doubting you. If you're watching this right now, please don't have that kind of mindset. It's so cringy. Like, it essentially just encourages pride. Like, make them regret that they ever doubted you. Go and be better than them. It's just prideful. It's sinful. Okay, so here's the next category of titles. I've only got two here. So, how to become the main character of your life, and your life is a movie, and you're the star. I think it's quite clear what this category is. It's essentially arrogance, pride, selfishness, all those kinds of things. And these kinds of sayings have been so normalized, and that's why we see so many people in the world who are so prideful and who are so egotistical, because these things have been so normalized. And it's basically thinking like the whole world revolves around you and you're at the center of the universe. This kind of mindset is very prideful and full of ego. We're here to serve others, not to serve ourselves. Because when Jesus was here, he served others, he helped others, he even washed the feet of his disciples. The point I want to make here is be careful not to get so numb and desensitized to the kind of content you see online. Because when that happens, you start seeing sin as something that's just normal, and it can slither its way into your life without you realizing. And that's why you have to be wary and always have a discerning mind. Anyway, if you found the video helpful, remember to like and subscribe, and until then, I'll see you in the next one.